The reading today is from Ernest Holmes, and he says, "You belong to the universe in which you live. You are one with the creative genius back of this vast array of ceaseless motion, this original flow of life. You are as much a part of it as the sun, the earth, and the air. There is something telling you this, like a voice echoing from some mountaintop of inward vision, like a light whose origin no man has seen, like an impulse welling up from an invisible source. Your soul belongs to the universe. Your mind is an outlet through which creative intelligence of the universe seeks fulfillment." And so it is.
Pretty magnificent, yes? Awe-inspiring, perhaps even unimaginable. We know so much about the universe, and yet we really don't know very much about it at all. We think we know so much about the universe, and in reality, it's not what it appears to be. For example, in 2001, the Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe, say that a couple times fast, the Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe helped NASA to map out the composition of the visible universe. According to NASA, we can only identify 4.6% of the visible universe as physical. Matter made out of atoms, composed of electrons, neutrons, and protons. The remaining 95% of the observable universe is unknown substances, identified as 24% dark matter and 71% dark energy. Now, by dark, they don't mean something bad and something evil. They just simply mean something that we cannot see. So dark matter and dark energy are believed to exist because we can measure their gravitational pull. In addition, that 4.6 of the universe that we believe is solid matter is actually 99.99% empty space. Russell Anthony Gibbs, in his book, The Principle of Oneness, a practical guide to experiencing the profound unity of everything, says, consequently, we do not know and understand the universe, ourselves, or the nature of reality. Really, nothing is as it seems through our perception, through the perception of our human senses. So, welcome to those of you who may have just arrived in the sanctuary. The theme for the month of October is unity. I cherish the human family, and my talk title is God and the Universe. Although, really this month has been unfolding as an opportunity to stretch and to really lean into our ability to be flexible. So you're not going to be upset when I tell you that my talk title is really more of a mash-up of the first original three talk titles of the month: Unity, The Principle of Oneness, and God and the Universe. Now, I believe that all of these talk titles, all of the conversation that we're going to have today is really all intertwined, and all of it is extremely important conversations to have. So when I think about the talk title, God and the Universe, I have a little bit of a challenge with that word "and." So for me, God and the universe are synonymous. I find it more authentic for me to say God as the universe, or the universe as God, or to simply take and put a backslash in between the two words, God backslash the universe, so that as we are having this conversation today, I am talking about both of them, one entity. And I believe that for each of us sitting here this morning, and for those of you, hi again, that have tuned into us through live streaming, that we agree with this idea on some level, or else we probably wouldn't be here. Yes? Now, the understanding of the universe as God is not new. It's ancient. It's been around for a long time. This understanding is at the core of many ancient religions, including the Egyptian religion, the Mayan religion, Hinduism, Gnosticism, paganism, and many other tribal religions across the face of the planet. In the belief system of these religions, all of us, the entire universe, and everything within it is divine. Pre-Christian shamanic cultures believe that we are all part of an intricate and sacred web of life, and that all of us are connected to one another and to the earth. That we're not separate from the planet, but we're actually deeply embedded into it. When I think about the title Unity, I think about the concept of oneness. Oneness is defined as the state of being unified or whole, even though perhaps whatever it is we're talking about is composed of two or more parts. It is a state of being joined as one thing and no longer separate. The principle of oneness is at the core of our teachings, the philosophy of the science of mind, faith, and way of life. And it's also a part of many other faith traditions around the world and throughout time. The purpose of our teaching and of these other teachings, of these other religions, was that through our life's journeys, that we would ultimately, at some point in time, become aware of the illusion of separation. And that we would become aware of our own divinity, and that we would actually experience a mystical union with all of it. The purpose is to gain awareness, to gain knowledge, and to actually experience the true nature of the universe. Uniformity, however, unity does not mean uniformity. So it's absolutely imperative to the whole that we are individuals, each of us, that we bring that to the whole. The unique expression of the divine that each one of us is of utmost importance. Ernest Holmes says, "The divine spark never made any two things alike, no two rose bushes, no two snowflakes, 2 grains of sand, nor 2 persons. We are all just a little unique, for each wears a different face, but behind each is the one presence, God." Unity means that everything draws its strength, its power, and its ability to live from one source. One life does flow through everything, but this life is never monotonous. It is forever doing new things in you and in me. Now, it's very easy for me to say that we are all connected by the power and presence of God. That this power and presence created us in its image and likeness, and so at our core is the divine. At our core, despite the appearance of a multiplicity of expressions, we are one. One. Throughout the universe, there exists really an all-encompassing, all-loving flow of energy that is uniting each and every single one of us with each other and with everything else on the planet. Now, imagine for a moment that you are God. It's true, so it shouldn't be too hard to imagine. But in this moment, just imagine that you are God. You are pure consciousness, without shape and without form. It hasn't been created yet. You are God. Nothing exists outside of you. You are everything. You are pure energy, infinite and unlimited. Got it? Now imagine that you wish to learn about yourself. So you begin to create. But because you are everything and because you are infinite, you can't create outside of yourself. It's impossible for something to exist outside of infinity. So you have to create from yourself. You have to create from within yourself. So you begin to create dimensions like up and down, right and left, light and dark. And you also begin to create objects within yourself. Now, these objects are not separate from you. They are within you. They are you. Now you've established some internal reference points, and you're learning about yourself, and you're learning about what you're capable of. But you're not through yet. So you begin to create some entities within yourself, and you give them consciousness. Now the one has become a plurality. It's a hard word for me to say. Plurality. Plurality. Yeah, plurality. At the fundamental level, it's still a singularity. It's still a singularity. Thus, the illusion of separation is born. Now, ultimately, there is no separation. But the illusion of separation at the superficial level serves a purpose. Without the illusion of separation, we would not know up from down. We would not know left from right. We would not know from light and dark. We would not know here from there. Marianne's getting called. Now, the relative framework is set up perfectly to give rise to experience. Without it, it would be as though nothing existed. Without it, we wouldn't even know that we existed. Variety and diversity are extremely important because they help us to differentiate one part of the whole from another part of the whole. Time and space are also important to us because we can locate things relative to something else. In order for there to be something such as pleasure, its polar opposite, pain, must also exist, must also be experiential. There are some things that can only exist with reference to their polar opposites. Everything in the universe appears in dualities. This contrast, however, is only present in the world of form. It's only what we, through our human perceptions, perceive. Now, while recognizing that contrast is important, I also find comfort in thinking about this idea of duality as a spectrum. So take joy, for example. One of the God qualities is joy, the absolute presence of joy. However, we know in our lives that there are times when we are not experiencing the absolute presence of joy. Now, we might call this despair. Now, despair isn't a thing in and of itself. It's simply the complete absence of joy. So if you were to think about it on a continuum with the absolute presence of joy on this side and the absolute non-presence or the absence of joy on this side, and you might experiencing something like this on the continuum. You would have joy, glee, happiness, contentment, neutrality, perhaps disappointment, sorrow, grief, despair. Maybe I should have gone the other way to leave you this. Let's do it again. So you would be despair, grief, sorrow, disappointment, neutrality, contentment, happiness. What was that word? Glee. Yes, glee and joy. Finally, joy. And when you really think about it, or at least when I think about it, I realize that there cannot be a force called despair. Because in oneness, there can't be anything that isn't a part of God. There can't be anything that is outside of its nature. The absolute cannot experience despair because it can only experience the presence of itself. However, there can be, in our experience, the sense of separation or the absence of something. We as spiritual beings having a human experience can experience both of them. We experience the spiritual presence of joy, and we can experience the sense of separation from it. Now, this would be the total absence of joy, which we might call despair. Are you with me? Excellent. So you see, despair isn't a thing in and of itself. It's the absence or the sense of absence of the presence of joy itself. Physics also reveals a oneness. It says that everything on a subatomic level in the physical and in the non-physical universe is part of one field of energy, one infinite field of energy, swirling, moving, and vibrating at different speeds. Says that all of our energies are commingled, just like all of the drops of water in the ocean. On a subatomic level, it's not possible to know where one thing begins or ends. There is no true separation of individual energy. Nothing exists outside of this energy field, outside of this energy field. And the essence of our oneness is our connection to this infinite field. The infinite field of energy over the history of time has often been identified as God, or the universe, or the soul, or spirit, or the divine, or Allah, or the Great Spirit, or Mother Nature, or the Force, and many other names. This infinite field of energy, no matter what we call it, is within each of us, and we are in it. So we are both part of the universe/God, and the whole of the universe/God is within each and every single one of us. Russell Anthony Gibbs says this is an enormous concept to comprehend. It seems plausible that we are part of the universe or God. However, the concept that all of the universe/God is contained within us is more challenging to comprehend. According to string theory of quantum mechanics, at the core of energy and matter is, on the subatomic level, is a vibrating string-like. All energy and matter is identical at the subatomic core, and only appears to be different because they're vibrating at different speeds. Now, I get it. This can be very hard for us to grasp, because as we look out at the world of form, the physical world, we see and perceive a variety of things that we believe are both different and unique, a variety of things that we believe are very solid and impenetrable and unmoving. Now, one way to really visualize this concept is to compare the various forms that water can take. It can be liquid, ice, snow, hail, clouds, fog, or invisible gaseous vapors. Now, other forms of energy, such as heat, can change the vibrational speed of the water, and thereby changing the appearance of the water from ice to liquid or from liquid to gas. However, regardless of the form, at its core, it is still just the water. If everything exists at a subatomic core, if everything is identical at the subatomic core, there's only one substance or one energy in the universe. It can only be that way. If everything is identical, there can only be that one, which again brings us back to the definition of, or the principle of, oneness. We are quite literally everything and everyone. At a subatomic level, there is absolutely no separation between us and the chairs that we are sitting on or the people that are sitting next to us. There is no separation. There is only the one vibrating at various different speeds. Albert Einstein says, concerning matter, we have all been wrong. what we have called matter is energy, whose vibration has been so lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. There is no matter. It doesn't matter that there isn't no any matter either. Now, having an intellectual understanding of our unity, our oneness with everything and everyone, is one thing. But really having the experience of it is quite another thing. Experiencing oneness really involves employing the wisdom to be able to see beyond the veil or beyond the illusion of separation. Anthony Gibbs has a few practical ideas for us. He says that there are at least two essential actions in order to experience unity. Now, the first is to know the magnitude of who and what we are. I'm going to say it again. We are both part of God/the universe. And the entirety of God/the universe is within us. You just saw it on that clip. What's not to get about the magnitude of it? 100 billion light years away. Now, this idea involves it involves really being able to see yourself in everything and in everyone. The invitation is to choose to treat everyone we encounter as an extension of ourselves, because in reality, that's the truth. They are an extension of ourselves, so that whatever choices we make and whatever actions we take, we are literally doing unto ourselves. Don't let it weigh on you right now in this moment. You can change. I promise you. I'm talking to myself too. It also involves transcending the limits of the personal ego. The personal ego identifies with only a very limited part of selves. And so it doesn't allow us to really be able to recognize the largeness of who we really are. It also involves listening to and for our inner wisdom, looking inward rather than outward, but looking inward for the answers that we seek. The changes that occur in anyone's life always come from the changes that we make within our own consciousness. If you like where you're at in life, then continue to think and believe what you have been thinking and believing. That's great. If you wish for really something different, if you're not happy and you want to step into something different, then the invitation is to shift and redirect your thoughts and your beliefs. Make a different choice. Personal responsibility for everything is a hallmark of an enlightened being. It reflects our understanding of the principle of oneness. We are in charge and we are responsible. So the invitation is to embrace your power. That is all in us. The magnitude of that power and presence is amazing. So embrace your power. The second main heading is to choose to love every facet of yourself unconditionally. Now, we are complex, multi-dimensional beings. And by loving ourselves, and loving ourselves requires identifying, accepting, and loving all of these parts of us that seem to be separate from us. And initially, in the beginning, we first have to love ourselves. Our relationship with ourselves is the most important relationship that we have. When we realize that we are everything, then our relationship with ourselves can become an infinite expression of love. How we treat and view ourselves dictates how we are going to interact with everything and everybody else in our lives. It includes loving our extended selves. You know who I'm talking about. All the other people. It involves loving our extended selves, all of the other people. Now, the underlying truth is that whoever crosses our path each and every single day is another part of ourselves that perhaps we need to see or to meet or to interact with on that particular day. Someone who is there to assist us to, in some way or another, to become our highest and best self. So the invitation is to greet them with love and respect and be open to give and also to receive. It includes connecting with and loving all of nature, all animals, all plants, all inanimate objects, and all abstract concepts. When we lovingly connect with any of these, we are rediscovering aspects of ourselves. Everything down to the subatomic level has some degree of consciousness. You may think, a rock. No. Panpsychism says everything has a degree of consciousness. And it all longs to experience and reconnect to the collective. When we love and connect with God/the universe, we are aligning our personal consciousness with the entire collective consciousness. With that entire collective energy field. Loving God/the universe is an act of reconnecting. It's an act of self-discovery. It's an act of self-acceptance. It's an act of self-love. Worshiping, praying, and meditating are all ways to experience the principle of oneness. The bottom line is that unity is who we are. Unity is who we are. And I believe that our understanding of that truth and our living our lives from that understanding of that truth will co-create a world that works for everyone. And I cherish that thought almost as much as I cherish each and every single one of you. And so it is.